360 fam, nice to see you all. It's great to be on here. It's been a while, hasn't it? I would like to apologize for that. I have been really sick, to be honest. Since I got back from the UK, I must have picked up some sort of a strain of some kind of virus. Been very flat, short of breath, really just sort of keeping head above water, which is not ideal because this was the week to really put some hard yards in for the WTC tournament that's happening in July, but there's still some time. Remember, early in the year, I did do some training. But on that note, if I'm a little bit short of breath, got to take some deep breaths in between sentences. Please bear with me. It's just great to be on here. I missed the weekend. I told my team I can't get out of bed. I'm literally just doing the basic errands right now, taking the kids to school and then rushing back to get warm because it's pretty chilly in South Africa as well. Not the ideal time to get sick because it's really difficult to get up again. But this reminds me of a story that I heard from a wise old man quite a few years ago. And I don't know how true this is. I actually, to be honest, I think it's not so true. But he told me one day when I was complaining a little bit about, I think I was in bad form or I can't remember. I was just having a bad day. And according to him, I didn't really have an excuse. But anyway, he told me, Avi, stop complaining about any issue in life because 90% of people that listen to you don't really care about your problem. And the other 10% of them are happy that you have the problem. So I'll never forget that, whether it's true or not. I don't think it's true. I think you guys care that I'm not feeling my best. So I sort of took that in. It was such an influential phrase that I remember it, but I don't believe in it. So it sort of tells you, it's maybe a bit of a lesson. Don't always believe in what you hear, but take it in and make with it what you want. You know, I giggle at it now because it's quite funny to me looking back. I do feel there are people that care about my issues, but also at the same time, it also reminds me, don't get into a habit of just complaining. Sometimes try and really just work through it first and then turn to your dearest friends and family and people and say, listen, I'm in a bit of a tough spot here right now. Anyway, let's move on to some cricketing stuff that's been happening. As you know, phenomenal test match. Not ideal for India, but what a great win from Team England. Sort of making a habit lately in the last few years that is since Brendan McCullum's taken over with Ben Stokes as captain. They've made a habit of these big run chases in test matches, playing a very, very bold and brave brand of cricket in test matches. I've wrote them off after the second day. I thought this is done and dusted, game over. I must say there's one thing about test cricket, and we'll talk about that clip in a minute, but let's just quickly look at the scores. They're 471 for Team India. And that's actually what I wanted to talk about. They had the game in their hands, another 100 runs there, which really looked easy at one stage. I thought they were looking at maybe 600. They could play around with whatever they wanted. But that wasn't the case. So 471 still looked like a mean total, but collapsing like that at the back end of an innings is never a good sign. Never, ever. No matter what test match you play at, you walk off the field feeling a bit disgusted. You feel like you've let slip of the momentum a bit, even though you're still ahead of the game. It's more of a mental thing, a psychological thing. Team England then came back. India started dropping some catches, coming back to prove my point that you don't want to go into that change of innings with the momentum lost. And England really fighting hard to sort of stay in the game. And so they did with some fantastic performances on their side. And so it went on. But let's quickly talk about that 471 from Team India in that first innings. 5 centurions in this test match, first of all, but the tail has been the problem for them. There's the 5 centurions, or 4 centurions rather, sorry, but 5 test hundreds. Rishabh Pant obviously featuring twice there. Well played from all of them, Jaiswal, Gill, and also KL, which was probably the best of all those knocks in that second innings. I've watched all the balls. I really enjoy watching him play, and he kept things together. But once again, the tail failed. And let me just quickly have a look. The India become the first team to lose a test match after scoring 5 centuries. So That is quite remarkable. Let's talk about the tail, guys. I honestly, when I look back and you ask me about our test win, whatever memorable test win we have, you go back ages in Australia, in England, in India. One thing is sort of a trend is the tail enders, the last five odd batters, 4 or 5 batters, always chip in. I think of an MCG test match we played in 2012, I think. I think Dale Steyn got 10 wickets that game. But Dale also scored 70 odd runs. Also, Paul Harris chipped in with a bat in hand, and our tail really wagged. And that was the difference in that test match, and ultimately us winning the test series, because we lost the next test match at the SCG. So remarkable year for Team India. Even though they had the momentum, they were playing incredibly well. They would have been happy with 471 in that first innings, but the way they went from 430 to 471 sort of put a bad taste in all the fans of Team India's mouths. And even myself watching that game, I thought, interesting, 471 seems mean, and they're probably going to be safe here. But the way that happened just sort of gave me an uneasy feeling. Same thing happened at Lords the other day when South Africa won the World Test Championship. Very similar thing happened there, where Australia was probably out of the game, but all of a sudden Mitchell Starc and Josh Hazlewood were scoring runs at the back end and really bringing Australia back in the game again. Little things like that can sort of turn the tide in Test match cricket, and that is also the beauty of the game. Same thing happened second innings for India, 333 for 4, 364 all out. And now, by no means am I saying it's the tail's responsibility to score runs, but more so just the resistance that you put up against the opposition, making their bowlers work. And India failed to do that after putting all the hard yards in. Just needed to leave Team England out there for another 20 odd overs, make those bowlers feel like we never want to bowl again, and they failed to do that. Now, the psychology of Test cricket seems to bite you in the backside when you do that, when you play with momentum. And Team England, on the other hand, has been sort of very good at chasing and making sort of creating magic from nowhere. And that's exactly what they did in this test match at Headingley. They smelled a bit of weakness in the opposition, even though we were behind the game. And they always stuck at it, stayed in the game, all the usual suspects playing a hand, and ultimately Team England going on with a remarkable and very memorable test win. Ben Duckett at the end there, what an incredible 100 that was. I'll take a question in 1 minute, guys. We'll just quickly talk about Duckett here. He is I want to say a crazy batter, but it really is quite interesting and unique to watch him play in test matches. And I know they play baseball. We've seen Joe Root with his scoops, but then Ben Duckett, I feel that is his natural game. That's the weird thing about them, and the uniqueness of the guy is, I think he's always played like that. He's not like a Joe Root or a Rishabh Pant that's decided over the last few years, you know what, we want to play more attacking, we're going to bring this in and that. This guy just hits the weirdest shots and it looks normal to him. He really is a crazy player that hits the ball in all kinds of odd areas. Very difficult to set fields to him. There's his ODIs, 9 innings, 52 average. T20s, similar things, going almost 170 strike rate. But it's the test format that really stands out to me. Just incredible how he scores. And he did this similar thing when he traveled over to India, scoring at a rapid rate. And wherever he goes, he scores runs when it seems unlikely for Team England to gain any momentum. And that's why I really have a lot of respect for him. Really being the difference in this final test match, scoring at pace and really making it difficult for Shubman to set fields to him. And he had the Indian bowling attack panic a lot sooner than they should have or would have liked to. And that was the big difference. So well done to Ben Duckett. Absolutely incredible. Jasprit Bumra, guys, I think he's hot on everyone's lips. Everyone wants to know where to from here, because he was bowled a lot in this test match. He took on a lot for Team India. Sorry, I need some oxygen. He took on a lot for Team India, and there is a lot of weight on his shoulders. There's no doubt about that. I don't know where to go from here. It would have been a very big psychological blow, not only for Team India but for their main bowler, the number one bowler in the world right now in all the formats. I even think for him it would have been a big psychological blow. Having put everything out there, having bowled a lot of overs, playing in a test match that they should have won. All of a sudden, he finds himself in his hotel room being 1-0 down, feeling tired. Now, he is a superhuman, so I'm expecting him to bounce back. Not that he bowled badly, he bowled exceptionally well, but just the psychological edge that now will be in England's court, and him being asked to, you know what, you've got to come back and be that again for us. It is tough. But that is the character of the guy. I'm expecting him to bounce back. He is the mainstay for Team India. So hopefully for Team India, they will bounce back. Otherwise, this will be very quickly be turning into one of those test series to forget rather than to remember. They don't want to go 2-0 down, guys. It's a 5 test match series, and it is a bit of a marathon. But for Team India, it's quickly becoming a sprint. They have to bounce back. At the very least, a draw, but hopefully a win. And they're going to need Bumra to step up and lead from the front for the bowling attack, because the rest of the attack, funny enough, looked quite thin. We saw Shardul being exposed a little bit. A lot of commentators were going on about him. I don't think it was his responsibility to take all the wickets. He is a guy who chips in with both bat and ball, so I'm not saying he shouldn't have bowled better, but you got to look at your frontline seamers. Why didn't they have more of an impact? Maybe you can sort of give blame to the conditions as well, as Headingley has been known to be a wicket to get better. I think it came up as the number one cricket ground with the highest average on day 5 for batters. I think it was over 40, if I remember correctly, which is crazy high. So you got to have a little bit of sympathy for the bowlers of Team India, but still you have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask questions. Why didn't we strike more? Is it really just a one-man attack? And I think it's time for the other bowlers in Team India to stand up and to be accounted for. And then there's the other discussion. Is it time to panic? Do we maybe bring in another bowler? Have a look at Arshdeep Singh, perhaps. What about Kuldeep Yadav, who's a bit of a mystery spinner? Did Jadoo do enough on a day 5 wicket? Lots of questions all of a sudden. I know there's lots of media people around writing the big headlines. We need change. I don't think it's time to panic yet. It is a 5 test match series. My biggest concern will be with that guy, Mr. Bumra. We need him. I'm talking on behalf of Indian fans. I'm not saying it's my team. They need him. We need him to be fit, and that is the most important thing. So for him to feel like he is supported. And if that means 1 or 2 bowling changes, 1 or 2 changes in the starting 11, then so be it. If not, keep the same team and back the guys. All right, let's take a question about Rishabh Pant. Back-to-back hundreds. And it's a shame. It really is a shame that they couldn't get across the line as a team, because he thoroughly deserves it, right? Rishabh Pant was absolutely amazing. And the way he made his 100 was mind-blowing. England made careless mistakes, showed high resilience mistake. So there are quite a few angles to the Rishabh Pant hundreds. He plays with extreme risk, guys, and it's sometimes going to frustrate the living daylights out of you. I can count probably 20 occasions where he could have gotten out for under 30 in both the innings, but he didn't, and that's the most important thing. He's a player that takes it to the opposition, and 99 out of 100 times, those are your successful sports people, not only cricketers. It's the guys that are willing to take it back to the opposition, absorb a little bit, and then be prepared to sort of take it back. I think sometimes he does pull the trigger a little bit early, but that is his recipe. That is his blueprint, and it has been working for him. You don't score 200s in 1 test match if you don't know what you're doing. So all credit to him for sticking to his game. A lot of people are giving him criticism, asking him, can't you see the match situation? Don't you know what's going on? Why don't you read the game better? But look at his performances. You can never, ever take that away from him. And that is what's most important. And that to me is a guy that's happy in his own skin and that is prepared after failure to look in the mirror and to know I'm the one that's got to answer the questions. So I don't have to answer to anyone else. I've got to answer my own questions. And he's been doing that exceptionally well. I'll be the first to put my hand up and say that I was on the couch going like, Rishabh, what are you doing? It's not the time and the place for this. But look at the results. That's all that matters. And he's the guy that answers to himself. So congrats to him. Number 17, absolutely fantastic. And it is a huge shame they couldn't cross the line because he deserved to be the man of the match with those 200s. And unfortunately, that's not the case. All righty, moving on from that topic then, it's all to play for in the second test match. It's going to be some thrilling cricket that's ahead for all of us. And can India come back? That's already the talk of the town. I do feel there's enough character in the side. And hopefully they prove me right because we all want a mouth-watering test series. There is the fixtures, guys. Next one coming up at Edgbaston, Birmingham. I think historically, if I'm not mistaken, a ground that India enjoys playing at. So maybe that is the turnaround. And there's also the fixtures for the remaining test matches, guys. A mouth-watering encounter indeed. Moving on, SA20. Woo! I'm running out of steam. Sorry. Quick sip of water if you don't mind. The player auction, that's coming up in September. Some changes there, and I think it's all good changes. The teams are allowed to have 6 retentions now, or pre-signings of 3 can be, 3 can be overseas players. Okay, local and 3 overseas. That makes complete sense. Sorry, I'm just reading here. There will be no longer a rookie draft, but instead the teams need to have at least 2 under 23 players. I quite like that. Nothing forced there. And under 23, the guys would have played at least a little bit because what's been happening is the rookies have been sitting on the side of the field, not playing any cricket at all. So I really like that rule. Now, all of a sudden, you allow some of those 18, 19-year-olds to sort of gain a little bit of experience domestically. Now they're 21, 22, more ready for the high-level cricket of the SA20, that is. And now maybe they'll get more game time as rookies. So fantastic. And then last but not least, get ready for a proper shake-up. There we go. That's the 9th of September, 41 million rand purse, 72 slots minimum. So fantastic, exciting times ahead. It's just around the corner. And it is the September month. It is my favorite month of the year, maybe after my birth month, which is in February. September is my wife's birthday month, but it is also springtime in South Africa then. And I can't wait because this winter is really getting the better of me. Listen to my voice. I mean, I'm struggling to listen to myself here at the moment. That's the SA20, guys. We'll take some questions soon. Quickly, the Australia-West Indies series coming up. Both teams have been announced, led by Pat Cummins there. Would still be licking his wounds after that World Test Championship final. I'm just kidding. I've got a bit of a grin on my face because I was there. And I mean, I've had a fantastic month. Watched the IPL final where RCB won. Watched the WTC final where South Africa won. And maybe I've got the virus of happiness. I don't know. But my voice is certainly about to leave me. That is a good look team. Quickly noticed there, no Manus Labuschagne. I feel sorry for him. He was sort of, I want to use the right words here, but it felt to me that he was set up in a way. I spoke to him before the start of the Lord Test match, and we both, I don't know who looked more surprised when I asked him, like, where you're batting, and he said, I'm opening. But the way he said it to me, I could see the disappointment in him. I knew he was going to be up for the challenge and going to give his absolute best for Team Australia. But I did really feel sorry for him, as I've seen things like this happen before. So I don't know what else happened behind closed doors there, because he is a phenomenal player. He's been in a little bit of a slump in the last while, but there are some players that you just back. Class is permanent and form is temporary, and he was one of those, in my humble opinion. Fantastic in the field, really good leg spinner as well. I thought he offered a lot to Team Australia. So to take nothing away from Sam Constas, he is a new generation kind of test cricketer. I want to wish him all the very best. I like his spirit. I like his character. But he will have some challenges playing the way that he does, similar to Rishabh Pant and a few other players around the world. If you want to play that way in Test cricket, I promise you, mark my words, you will have a period of time between maybe 3 to 5 Test matches where it's going to get pretty dark, and people are going to ask questions, and you're going to start asking questions of yourself. But if you can be like a Rishabh Pant, who can sort of quieten the noise, ignore all of it, absorb the pressure, and stick to who you are and stay true to yourself, maybe you will have a fantastic career. So, yeah, I hope I answered that correctly or commented well enough on Sam Consist. There's one other change. Steve Smith is injured with that finger still. So if we can just quickly pull the Aussies up there. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Josh Inglis, that's the other guy I'm excited about. I watched him in the IPL final, watch him during the IPL. He really looks like the real deal and someone who can play under pressure. Also, he's got all the fancy shots, but he picks the right times to apply the pressure, which I really like about him. So I do think that is a really good replacement for Team Australia there. 3 Test matches coming up, so stay tuned to that, guys. All right, moving on to Team West Indies. This is all about that bowling attack. I like the look of that bowling attack. And do they have enough to run through that Aussie lineup with the 2 changes that I just mentioned? I do think they will put Team Australia's batters under pressure, but then it comes back to the batters. Shai Hope, I really like the look of him. He always seems to score runs. Craig Brathwaite. But other than that, I would like to see more players come to the party in the top 6. And not really rely on that middle order to the bottom order, to the Alzari Josephs having to score runs at the back end. That's been lacking, in my opinion, with Team West Indies. And it'll be all about, can their top 6 find a way to score runs against that lethal Aussie bowling attack? Because I do feel the West Indies bowling attack will be good enough to stay in the game. All right, some questions quickly. I'm not going to take many, guys. I think you can hear that I'm not at my best and at my healthiest state right now, but I'm going to fight it. I like a bit of Afrikaans here. Here we go. Wat dink jy van Tristan se benadering in cricket? Ek dink hy is vroeg te defensief. Te defensive. Anyway, Tristan Stubs is talking about saying that his approach is maybe a bit too defensive up front. And Mr. Dex, I have to agree with you, and this is no criticism towards Stubbsy, because I think he's a phenomenal player and a great asset to South African cricket in all formats for hopefully another 5 to 10 years to come. I agree with you. I think he has got into his shell a bit, maybe got stuck a little bit too much listening to outside influences, perhaps coaches, people talking about his technique. And I understand also, if this might be the case, also where he comes from, because we all strive as Test cricketers for the perfect technique and the perfect defensive game. Because once you have that in place, and I always preach that as well to youngsters, get that in place first, because the rest is easy. But sometimes you can get a little bit obsessed with that in a way. I want to be solid. I was obsessed with it in 2007 and 2008, where I wanted to defend like Jacques Ellis. That's all I wanted to do. And at times maybe got stuck a little bit as well. Lucky for me, sort of got through it quickly and scored runs and remembered that I had that attacking game as well. So I would sort of agree with you, Dex, and I would encourage Stubbsy to remind himself. It's one thing being solid, and I think he's already got that in place. But on wickets like Lords and most South African wickets, most English wickets with a new ball, you can be defensive, but you have to be able to have that counter punch. You have to tell the bowler, I'm not just a sitting duck. I am here to punish you if you are a little bit off the mark. And sometimes even be prepared to take a risk of a good delivery, and be clever with where you position yourself with regards to the crease, a little bit outside off perhaps sometimes, go deep in your crease, come out again, play around with the positioning to sort of try and get the bowler off his length. But if you're going to play around at the same place, try and be defensive at wickets like Lords, guys like Hazelwood, Stark and Cummins most probably have got your number with one of their deliveries. So it's a very good point, and it's a fine line between balancing it out between attacking and defensive play, guys. It is something that 100% of batters over many, many years have been trying to master and trying to complete, and something no one will ever master, I guess. But it's always sort of a battle for a batter and a challenge to find that perfect balance between when do I feel threatened and how do I counter it? How's the bowler trying to get me out? How do I counter that? Instead of, I know he's trying to get me out, nicked off, and I'm just going to be defensive and back my technique. That doesn't work. You have to immediately go, I'm in trouble. The ball's beating my bat. How can I counter this? Shall I have a go and maybe just play attacking for an over or two? Do I come out of my crease? Do I leave more positively? Do I look for ones? There's always got to be a counter plan. And maybe that is something that Tristan has been lacking, but it takes away nothing of his ability and the future that he has for South African cricket. I'm a huge fan. Thanks, Dex. And now my voice is basically giving up. I'll take one more. Excuse me. I never comment on YouTube videos, but ABD, you've always have a special place in my heart. So can I know your view on leadership by senior players and fielding focus in particular? Sarbanga, thanks for that. That is quite a deep question as well. I don't know if I have enough voice left to answer that question, because I can write a book about that question, literally. Yeah, thanks for having a special place in your heart for me. I appreciate that. My view on leadership by senior players is quite an interesting one, because I've sort of seen it all throughout my career, where I started as a youngster. And I remember in 2008 when Jacques Ellis, Graham Smith, Mark Boucher approached me and told me I've got to take up more of a leadership role. So I went through that transition. And then later on, 2011, maybe, I can't remember the exact year, when Graham came to me and said, you're soon going to be captain, and I'm watching you to be the next captain. And I'm like, whoa, okay. I didn't even know he was part of the decision-making, but obviously he went back to the selectors and said, this is the guy that I think is prepared to take over from me. But anyway, I went through that whole transition. So I know what it feels like as a youngster to look up to senior players. I know what it felt like to be sort of lost in that middle period. And I know what it felt like at the top to help pull some of the youngsters up with me. And that is, in my opinion, my view on leadership is senior players having the ability to empower some of the insecure, vulnerable youngsters around them. And that doesn't mean you have to sort of neglect your own form and your preparation. The opposite is actually true. You have to lead by example as much as you can with your performance, but also with your off-field antics, with regards to gym work, your prep in the nets, the way you speak. So that's the way you can lead by example. But your ultimate goal is, when that is done, to help everyone around you become a better version of themselves. That is a good leader. And so it's not easy always, because we're all human after all. And sometimes when we go through some dips, we tend to go into our shells and sort of secure our own safety. But the role of a true leader is, in those moments, to take the spotlight off of yourself and go and look, how can I contribute and how can I add value to other people's performance, in other people's lives, and so forth. So I hope that answers your question, Sarbanga. Thanks for that. Guys, I've got many more questions, but I'm going to have to wrap up. My voice is literally gone. At least I lasted for almost 30 minutes. I didn't think I had that in me. I want to thank all of you for joining me on this ill-feeling Wednesday afternoon in South Africa. I'm off to quickly go and watch my boys' 30-minute football match. That's the only time that I will be leaving the house today. It will be my first time as well, except for the fact that I dropped them off at school, but I didn't have to leave the car. You saw my social media platforms, guys. I'm working on some really, really cool stuff. I am sort of itching to tell you what I'm working on, but I can't. There are quite a few things coming your way soon, and I really appreciate your following, your support, your friendship, and you all being part of this 360 family. So follow me in socials to stay up to date with everything. There will also be some from AB to 360 videos coming soon. As I said before, I found out that some professional players are following these videos. So I'm sort of under pressure to release more, and I will do so soon as I'm feeling better. And as soon as I'm back up on my feet, I have to prepare. So I'm feeling a little bit anxious, but it's never too late. So hit that bell notification, subscribe, and like the show. And I will be seeing you guys this coming week, or maybe weekend. Sorry, this coming weekend. I will be in Cape Town. I've got some business to do there. So the the priority is to get healthy and fit for that, and get well soon. Thank you very much for that. And all of you have a wonderful week. And remember, it's not true what that old wise man told me, that 90% of people don't care about your problems and that 10% of them actually are happy that you have those problems. It's not true. Stay positive, glass half full. I love you all, and I'll see you guys on this weekend. Bye now.